Welcome to the What Away podcast. I am your host. I am Paul from JCR Builds in the UK. And today we have one of our favourite guests and soon to be co-hosts on occasions, Jerry from grantland, Timbre. Welcome, mate. Nice to see you back.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, everyone. Hello from Africa.
Yeah, so for those that obviously are actually watching it on YouTube, which not many people do, it's more of an audible thing. So Jerry is in fact on his holidays in Morocco, I think, is it not?
That's the one.
Yeah, which actually is quite good because I don't know whereabouts you are exactly, but obviously the weekend that we're recording now, obviously Morocco have had quite a bad earthquake, haven't they?
Yeah.
It's obviously been quite devastating for the country and obviously a lot larger than lost. But thankfully, Jerry's okay. He's got his sun hat on. He's got his shades on. He's sat on the veranda and he's enjoying the sun, thankfully.
In fact, a mojito is due to arrive any second.
I mean, to be fair, mate, it is Sunday evening here. It's not our normal time for recording, so I've also got a beverage as well because I've had a shite day. It's so hot. I mean, it looks hot where you are. I mean, How hot is it? How hot are we talking in Morocco at the minute?
Mid 30s.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean,
I'm in a place called Essaouira, which is nicknamed the Windy City of Africa. So right now, I mean, easily 7 mile per hour, 8 mile per hour wind.
You actually see some lanterns just above your head behind you, which have got a bit of a swing to them.
Are they flapping around?
Yeah, they are. So it just shows you that breeze makes a big difference. Something like that. I mean, it's 28. I think it was about 28 degrees here in the UK today. Which I know for some of you, I know for some people out there it's not hot like the Australian, like they're used to 30 degrees plus, but in the UK that is literally double the normal thing, isn't it?
Well, I know it's not a normal temperature for people, so I think they tend to feel it. So like I don't know, it took me a couple of days to acclimatise here, but when you suddenly get smacked with high 20s and we're not ready for it, it's actually debilitating.
Oh, it is. I mean, I must be having like 4 showers a day at the minute because it's that bad. I mean, today I've been sanding in the workshop. I've been doing a load of shaker doors, so I've been sanding all them. I mean, it's a good job its camera is only waist up. I am sat here in my boxer shorts. It's too hot, mate. I'm not, mate. You're lucky. I've only put a t-shirt on just because of the YouTube, just in case, you know what I mean? It's just, I mean, literally, I went down. I mean, I was doing these shaker doors yesterday as well, and I went downstairs. And the missus said to me, she was you're meant to get undressed before you have a shower. I was just
spilt it all over my leg.
So yeah, I'm just that wet with sweating. I mean, I don't know. We're not built to do. I mean, I'm bright red still. It's that hot. Anyway, that's enough. We're all suffering. By the time this goes out, it'll be back to normal October weather, and you'll be thinking, what's this rubbish they're talking? It's like 4 degrees and pissing down again.
Well, that's the irony. I booked this holiday to go and catch some sun, and on the day that we left, the weather decided to get hot. So it's just like, so maybe I've unlocked some sort of key. So if you want hot weather, just piss me off away somewhere.
So yesterday, unfortunately, we did try to do a bit of a little test call, did we not? And you went this sort of, I don't know what it was, like a treasure trove, a treasure trove of like woodworking, mainly like these massive chests. And just tell us about that and where you were, because that looks amazing, like proper handmade work.
Yeah. So there's a lot of they're really big into their marquetry here, and they'll use lots of various different things as inlays, accompanied with like pearl and what other words they use. Thuya is one of the main types of timber that they have here. That's pretty interesting. There's a lot of burr in it, A lot of kind of ripple. It's crazy wood. In fact, I'm going to bring some back. I'm only going to bring back some small pieces. I'll get them duffed up and see what you guys think. But
you have to be careful, mate, because you can't import exotic woods.
Yes and no. Looked it up.
Right, so there are certain ones you all get like thrown away the keys on me. But yeah, tell us about this market, because Market Street, that's where they use a lot of veneers to the knot, and they cut it and they make pictures out of the veneers. That's
Yeah,
market,
a lot of yeah. So here, there's a lot of geometric patterns. They're really big into that, and they'll use various bits of wood and pearl to kind of create this geometric pattern. The influences really are Italian, Spanish, and French, and marquetry wasn't kind of openly available until sometime in the 1800s. So it would be just a showpiece. Typically, it would be a way for very wealthy Moroccan families to showcase wealth. But now it's openly available. They make some really interesting kind of little trinkets for tourists. And on top of that, there are an abundance of not an abundance, but they do make a huge amount of stuff out of thuya, walnut, ebony, is it lemon? Yeah, lemon. They use a lot of lemon in there. And yeah, that kind of stuff. It's cool.
It's really cool because you actually showed there's a chest. We had a very brief video call because we're trying to check out the Wi-Fi. My God, she's noisy now.
I'm running out of places.
The joys of.
Well, the problem is I can't ask you to calm down either because my French is shit. Is your French any good?
I can remember some very, very naughty swear words in French, but that's fine.
We can try
it.
Maybe if I just block that out, it's like soundproofing.
I think maybe a gun would do it, do you know what I mean? But anyway, let's get back to it anyway. The listeners have listened to enough crap. But so, yeah, excuse the background noise, but we are
sorry everyone.
Yeah, we are doing what we're doing, but at least it'll be good content. It is worth listening, as you know. And as you know, when you listen to any of Jerry's other podcasts in the past, they've always been one of our most favourite ones, and everyone really enjoys them because he's a bit of a character, is Jerry at times.
Sweaty work, this Paul.
Yeah, it is. Not work sitting down drinking alcohol, mate. So, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you've yeah. So let's just like I'm gonna call it an 11's cave, and there's a lot of hand turn stuff, like carving, like mugs and stuff. The treasure chest. You show me a treasure chest type thing.
Yeah. It's hard to explain just the level of detail in how these patterns are made, and I think what people have to remember and recognise, this is all done by hand. That the workshops here have 0 levels in terms of sophistication. So we're even in some respects, the ability to I mean, mitosaurs here are very uncommon. We're talking hand tools.
A mitosaur
primarily.
is a basic for any workshop, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the first tools as a woodworker. You'd probably go and get a mitosaur as your first power tool, or one of your very first early on power tools, for sure. So they actually carve these all by like hand chisels and
hand chisels, hand planes. Everything's done by hand. Yeah, of course, they use most of the stuff in terms of measurement because it's a kind of a rinse and repeat. So if there's a focal point in the middle, the geometric pattern works almost like a clock. So they've got the patterns are, there are variations to the pattern, but they are still, they all still follow a uniformed kind of direction.
Well, that's it with geometric. So I was looking into it. It was actually Jason from Bob and Moth. I learned about geometric patterns. So if you want to make a geometric pattern, you take a square to start with. You cut whatever you cut out of one side, you've got to put on the other side. So that's how basically a jigsaw's made to a point. You cut out a hole,
Okay.
you put it onto the other side, and that way it will always be recurring. Obviously, it gives a lot of creative with things like there's quite a famous one of lizard drawing, like lizards, geckos being cut out and
Okay.
into lot. So, but yeah, geometric pattern is basically a square, and if you take off one side, you add onto the other side, and because in that manner, it will always interlock, and that's how you make a geometric. That's the basic maths behind it, I suppose, because it is a
I
mathematical
wouldn't.
formula.
I mean, the difficulty is I've never approached carpentry, so I only can admire it from the perspective of someone that has zero clue.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't know where to fucking start. It's that mind bending to me. So, walking around these shops and looking at all of these crazy patterns and looking at the various different types of wood that they're using, not only just wood, you know, they're using also very brittle material like pearl. How the hell they do it is beyond me. I can't. Don't understand. But to think that with with the tools that they have, which are fairly, you know, a fairly simple and basic tools, they are able to recreate the pattern the same every single bloody time, and it's amazing. It is actually amazing.
I mean, that's pretty special to you. I mean, I know we could all cut, with a handsaw, but if you're trying to like remake something, that's where CNCs these days have come in, isn't it? Because it's easy to recreate when using a computer. But to do by hand is a whole other level. I mean, how much are
Yeah.
these pieces? Are they cheap? Because obviously, going back to like the woodworkers in the UK or anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
making things to your markets and all that. How do you
Um,
compare price wise?
Price points are fairly affordable by comparison. If I were to ask someone in the UK to make it, it wouldn't even come into my budget. It would be crazy amounts of money. But I mean, it's that age old thing, really, isn't it? It's just the the if I'm looking at it from a perspective which is someone with Western money going to an African country and valuing it if I were a Moroccan attempting to buy it, no fucking way. But um, with pounds or euros, yeah, it's fairly bloody affordable.
So,
Um,
so say for example, a chopping board would be £50 in the UK for whatever
yeah,
standard, or a what is it,
yeah,
the cup or whatever.
yeah,
So, but what is it then on comparison? Because obviously, your mojito you're drinking out is cheaper than what it is in the UK. Because in the UK, that's
yeah,
£8-9.
yeah.
So, in comparison, how are they a lot cheaper still than the UK? So, say that mojito was
Two.
£2,
Yeah.
right? So, a mojito in Liverpool is going to be £8-9, mate, all day long, all day long.
Mm.
So, what's that? It's about a quarter to a fifth of the
Yeah,
price cheaper.
exactly. General rule of thumb: if you're going around the souks and the Medinas, there's the idea that you have to haggle, and that's a very typical thing. But general price points is a third of the asking price, and that obviously varies and fluctuates depending on how good you are at haggling. I am not great, but I'm okay. I usually get ripped off anyway, just because it's just part of the process.
Well, you're Westerner, but thing is that you've got gift of the gap, man. You've got gift of the gap. I'm surprised they're not, they're not paying you to take the stuff away at the end of the day because
If
you're
only.
that good at talking.
If only. I like this lovely scarf. Where is it? I bought this lovely scarf the other day, right? Really nice scarf, by the way. I don't know why I got the scarf. It's fucking hot, but I'll need it in the UK. But I'm. Is that thing? If how much would I be paying for this in the UK? And it's like, you know, a cashmere scarf, easily 40, 50 quid, maybe more.
Yeah.
Um, I think I paid £8 for it, 8 or 10 quid.
But it's the whole thing, though. I mean, because the thing is, like, we have the whole thing, even with any business or woodworking or whatever, we have that thing: is it worth that amount of money? So to me, I have an awful lot of festival. Now, to me, that is worth it, 100%. But to the woodworker, like the hobbyist, festival isn't worth it because it's overpriced stuff, to their opinion. So every single person has their own price point, their own value in seeing on an item, whether it be, I mean, we'll get to the next thing in a minute. We'll lead on quite nicely this. So everything's only worth what you will pay for it.
Exactly.
Which takes on to another good point. Recently, Jerry has started, I'm not really sure how to label it or call it, but he's managed to do this. And he did a plant bank a while ago, which I know is still ongoing. But basically, I'll let you explain properly in a second. But so generally, when us Joe Blogs want to go to the yard and we want to buy a slab of walnuts, it's £1 billion and blah blah blah. So Jerry is actually going to pre-select you, dry it out for you, store it for as long as you want in his yard until you're ready to collect it. I mean, that's like an unheard business sort of like idea that's coming through, and I think it's really good, and I think it really will get to the people you're aiming at, for sure, in the UK here. You know what I mean? It's an amazing thing because no one else does it. So, could you just tell us the details correctly? Because I've probably fucked them up and got them wrong anyway. Do you know what I mean?
No, so the idea again is not mine, but when I look into it a bit more, I'm already implementing this idea already when it comes to doing things like firewood. So if I use firewood as an example, it might be a bit easier. So for people that burn solid fuels like firewood, you might find yourselves in a position where you're paying for expensive firewood in the winter. And the only reason why you're paying for expensive firewood in the winter is because a premium has to be added for the basis of them doing additional steps. If you were
supply and demand to a point in the winter, and you're trying to get ahead of that.
Exactly. So if we work on the idea that we can eliminate the supplier adding value and adding a premium, the idea is for the individuals that are burning solid fuels is to get their winter supply in the spring and summer. So that's not too dissimilar for what I'm trying to do with the whole click and collect. The click and collect being the idea that if you need something, as in sawn timber, if you need timber that is dry, rather than you going to a supplier and them charging you for timber that is dry, you then can use my space and select that piece out when it is dry. So you've already pre-selected it with the idea in mind that, I don't know, let's just say you're making 50 chopping boards, right? You've already got a marked up value. But if in the future you're continuing to do your markets and you know at Christmas you've got to make 50 chopping boards, the Christmas before, buy a load of green timber from me. And the reason why that is because I get to continue doing the same process which I'm doing, which is to saw timber and stack it. But the plus point that I've got is before I've even stacked it, I've already got a return. So it makes my farm space, which for the most part is fairly redundant because I've got stacks of timber everywhere that I'm only going to be able to get value from when they're dry. But if I can get to a point where there's sufficient amount of people involved, I'm saving them money, I'm keeping myself constantly in work, and all I'm doing is just sticking to the same process.
Right, but basically it's a way of you're almost like planning for the future, aren't you? You're making sure that you're going to get that return at some point for the woods. Now, it's a bit of a risk for you as well, though, because green timber is a lot less valued. It's cheaper, a lot cheaper, an awful lot cheaper. So it's great. I mean, I bought a load of Spalted Beach last year, and it wasn't. It wasn't dry, but it wasn't wet. It was thereabouts. So I thought, oh, it needed about 4 months to dry for me to get. So obviously, because it needed 4 months to dry, I got it at a low price. Because that guys, it's not being funny, mate, but I said, you've been keeping it outside, so it's not furniture grade. I've got to dry it and season it inside, which takes space, takes time, and I wasn't bothered. I still sat there a year later, but I mean, green timber could be as much as half the price, can't it? On certain ones, obviously. So it gives people that sort of, as you say, if I know I need 2 walnut boards, a Purdue, a sycamore, whatever, this time in 6 months' time, go and see you. It's sat there waiting. It's done.
Well, exactly. The two things that I'm trying to eliminate is, one, couriers don't want to touch me. They get anywhere near the farm and they don't want to drive anywhere near us. So already I'm excluded from this kind of online market, which I can ship out boards. And it's a fucking nightmare, actually, because I have tried to sell stuff online before, and it's just a faff. Like, I hate couriers. That you have to package everything to. I mean, that already is an expense, because the packaging involved to put it on a courier is pricey, and I can't be bothered with that cost. I've got to wrap everything in cardboard, wrap everything in plastic, and then that's a loss of my time just doing that. So if I can eliminate that, and people have got, say, a stack of timber at my place, they don't have to think about a courier. All they have to do is get a little bit wiser and figure out, in terms of volume, what they need, and bring a suitable enough vehicle in which they just rock up, they take from their own inventory, and that just removes that annoyance, really. But again, it's having the idea in mind and a bit of foresight. Okay, I'm going to need XYZ material in the future.
But it is because that we did the plant bank right near the base bit, and it's around the station street now. But I looked at it as like, this is like any plant, any size, 10 quid or whatever it was. It's like, I'm going to limit it here. I mean, I've got a big ass fan, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, it was worth me. I mean, I couldn't because I've got nowhere to put it, and that's why I didn't do it. But I literally thought, a long wheelbase fan like mine, I could come down, spend maybe 300-400 quid, easy. That's fill the van, 300-400 quid, £10 plant. I could resell that for 10 times the price easy. When it got to it,
probably.
So it is worth if you're foresight, as you're saying, because even if you're a long way away from me, you know what I mean? So I think it's like worth about 120 quid worth of fuel. So to factor that into the price and all that. But for me, for a job, to a point, it's still viable. Because if I know, but my only concern would be with green timber, when it's wet, you don't know the condition it may be when it comes to a suitable moisture level to be able to use the furniture grade. So, you could pre-buy that plank, and by the time it dries, it could crack or split. It can happen.
Yeah.
It
can happen.
Do you know what I mean? And it's one of those things that you can never get around. It's wood. It's nature. Yeah. It will do what it wants to do.
But, exactly. You know what I mean? But with the method that I'm using, I'm trying to make it affordable. So if let's just say hypothetically that did happen, which is likely to happen because it's wood, it's still not breaking, because even still, let's just say you went to a supplier anyway that advertised it as dry wood, you cannot guarantee for a moment that it's going to move in your workshop. So at least you haven't forked out a high cost with not even the expectation that it's not going to move.
Well, it is, so that actually came up on I think it was Cameron at Blacktail Studios recently. So he paid $8,000 for a slab of black walnuts. Did it all because it was dry. And then, because of the issues, it came back to us, there's imperfections in it. There's odd pockets for some reason of 30% moisture in black walnuts, so it ruined the piece.
Yeah.
I think it got from Gobi Walnut, and they turned around and went, "Oh yeah, whatever," and they totally sorted them out, and they did an amazing job. Customer service
Yeah.
said, I'm not trying to slate Gobi Walnut here at all. They did an amazing job with their customer service. But what I mean is, though, even to some of the world's biggest suppliers of, Gobi in the States is one of the world's biggest suppliers, and yet they still fucked up by selling a piece for $8,000 and had pockets of 30% moisture opposed to the 10% they need. So that ruined the piece, obviously. So as you say, though, even when you get a piece, and then we've got the other problem now where, I could bring a piece home from you now, put it in my house, and because this stupid heat, the moisture levels are all over the place. It makes, because wood is always going to take on, no matter what finish you put on there, isn't going to make any difference. The wood will always take on movement. And that's why we do certain aspects like washers with screws so wood can move as it grows to the table. Because you might not see it, but it does happen, 3 or 4 millimeters over the table size all the time with, what's the word? Seasonal use.
Yeah.
So then, Christ, we had last Christmas I went down to it, I think, and -14, whereas down in Nuneaton, -14, which is, and again, I've been abroad with like -20, -40, not a problem. -14 in the UK is very, very cold because it's wet. So it's cold, it's nasty. So again, when we get like this 30 degree, 28 degree air, it's horrendous. It's like 60 degrees anywhere else in the world. You know, it's not bad. But
I
yeah,
think what's in my favour really is I comparative maybe to other suppliers, I don't buy stuff in.
No, exactly.
So I haven't got that cost factored in. And that is the biggest thing massively in my favour. But again, I can either sit there and wait for my revenue to come in after 2-inch plank, two years, or I can be a bit quicker in receiving that and still mill at volume.
I think it's called being proactive, and I do like your way of doing things because at the end of the day, yes, you're making money, you're turning over quicker, but you've cut your profits right down by doing this. Like you've halved your profits, at least.
But I don't buy it in.
Exactly, because you'll think that I don't know, guys. Probably will end up happening there, but the whole thing where I was hoping to come down to your state, and we're going to mill a big tree and all that because the thing is, because of your forestry, and that's a great episode for you to all jump onto after this one. Jerry told us all about the forestry and the needs of the forestry and how we can actually be self-sustainable. So when Jerry does mill trees on his lands, he's planting stuff. He's making sure his environment. So he's doing it very responsibly and ethically as well. So it's not all about like banking trees up, chopping down, sell some trees. He's literally reproducing and planting more trees for the future. And I think the tree we spoke about, in fact, was a sycamore tree that's 100 years old. You're like, oh, don't take it down. But the thing is, when it's damaged and it needs to come down to the forestry issues to make way for, because that one tree can actually kill 3 acres of land because of the roots. So you've got to look at all that and all the, the bigger picture when you're looking after lands. It's like farming, where the farmers.
Yeah, that's it. That's basically the best way to describe it. It is the agricultural aspect of, farming timber in reality. That's the whole basis. Commercial woodlands are are important. Our woodlands are, of course, for prosperity, but they are commercial woodlands in the sense that we are extracting things with the means of generating them. But we are putting that's a significant importance because ultimately, it's the end goal is for it to be an absolutely teeming and thriving woodland. But you can't get a teeming and thriving woodland unless you remove inferior wood. You have to remove the inferior crap. But removing the inferior stuff doesn't necessarily mean it has to go to firewood. Not by any means. Thankfully, we've got machinery like sawmills.
Yeah.
So but we do firewood too. But it's with the idea in mind that I can process a lot of this stuff and sell it as sawn timber. That's not to eliminate that's not to eliminate my firewood grounds because that's really good. It's bread and butter stuff. But that then means that instead of processing stuff that's like 12 inches in diameter for firewood, I can then mill it, and it still holds a fairly decent income and decent value comparative to it being just burnt in someone's wood burner.
Yeah. Does it when it's there's waste, and then there's waste. But then you only be chopping a tree down for the sake of waste. I mean, one thing I will bring it up. I found it very interesting actually. With, I think I mentioned it on the forestry issues episode as well. When good old Clarkson Farm, and we all know Clarkson's in the food as idiots, but I really do rate him and like him because he speaks the truth. Now, when he did his farming thing, and he actually had to mill a load of trees out of his woodlands for, I can't remember the reason, but I think it was due to the disease, whatever, some disease spreading. The amount of shit he got was unreal. Like, you're destroying the wood. No, but watch the episodes, then you'll see why he did it. And it wasn't for his own personal gain, it was for the environment and to make sure that area could thrive. Because by cutting down that one row of trees, he opened up the forest floor by 90%, I think it was, which then meant everything else could grow better. Not the rats, but the voles, the mouses, bugs, or whatever, could actually thrive better because the undergrowth was growing. Because the sunlight to the trees basically take over everything, and they killed off the underground. Well, without the underground, the trees can't survive because they need it's an ecological system. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, biodiversity is really important, and I think sometimes people forget that the management of it. I mean, you don't get thriving woodlands without management, and I think people have to almost. This is going to sound like a shitty answer, but respect the idea that there are individuals that have ability and knowledge of trying to figure out what needs to be removed, with the idea that damage is done, but that is for the greater of the space. It's not just an idea of a quick elimination. But again, there are a lot of forestry operations in which they do that. They will ultimately, create a crop for the purpose of it being absolutely clear felled and then replantation. But that's just a different method. It's a different method. If you look at
not being funny, but it's no different to actually having a herd of cows to produce milk or produce meat. It is effectively, if you're growing a stock, whether it being trees or cattle or whatever, you're growing with an idea in mind of that resell. Well, think about that. I do really like about you is that it's almost like, I mean, your reels recently been really good and they're really on point, aren't they? But again, I don't see you as being this sort of big timber selling guy at all. I actually perceive you and see you as this sort of like more of a eco person, and he's just
100%.
selling, and you're selling your wood as a secondary measure. That's, do you know what I mean? Because I know, again, I'm going to plug your little thing you've got as well. Because, like, you do your little lake and all that, you do, like, the lakeside picnics and all that, so people can come down and walk around your woodlands. They can come and visit your lake. They can have the picnic. It's very much not, you're not a timber at all. Do you know what I mean? You're like many umbrellas.
Yeah, I am quite, in the most easiest way to describe, I am just a caretaker of a space. And I have to caretake it with the idea in mind that space does not stay an idyllic woodland or an idyllic space in Devon without it being managed. And yes, sawn timber, the firewood, the cattle, they are all in reality various easiest possible way to describe it. They are just tools into maintaining that lovely little balance of it being the way that it is. And I'm quite lucky. I've had incredible teachers before me who are giving me huge amounts of information, huge amounts of guidance, and just hopefully you continue on that same trajectory. It's a space to be appreciated.
So I think we're going to call that a wrap for today, everyone. Please do firstly drop a comment in down below for any questions of Jerry, because Jerry will be becoming part of the future lineup. So he will be either a regular guest or co-hosting his own actual episodes as a guest host for me.
That's really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it just gives me a fucking week off, mate, because after a year of doing this, I need a week off. But also, don't forget, we need your reviews. So when we hit 500 views, I will be doing a worldwide giveaway. So make sure you go up to whatever platform you're listening on, rate it 5 stars. When I hit 500 5 stars, there'll be one giveaway for America, one for the UK and Europe, and one for Australia side of the matter as well. Again, you can reach me on my personal Instagram page. You can always reach out to Jerry on his Instagram page. As normal, all links will be down below in the comments. So again, thank you very much to Jerry for being on holiday and joining us. And yeah, it's been great again. Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
You're welcome, mate. It's been great as always.